All right, the real ball knowers say we're previewing the best weekend of the NFL season. Divisional round, 4 games, the final 8. It all starts Saturday. And thanks for jumping on with us. First in pod, Andrew Fillipponi, Patrick Peterson, Spencer Ray producing. This is regular talk with a couple of guys. One who was a great NFL player. Me, I just like to run my mouth about it and bullshit. We're just delighted to have you back on board here. All season we've been doing this before every kickoff on Thursdays, and then we react to the games. We'll do 2 episodes this week after games, both Saturday and Sunday. So look for those in your feed. And that's when you're subscribing. That's awesome. Also rate and review, and that helps make the podcast bigger and better. Pat, do you agree with that, first of all? Do you think this is the best weekend?
No, Championship Sunday is the best weekend, which is next weekend.
Okay. So
in my opinion.
You'd rather have the 2 elite games on one day.
Yeah.
All right.
No doubt about it. I was going to ask you that. I was going to say I thought Championship Sunday is the best weekend in the NFL.
I like just the regular NFL weeks where there's tons of games.
Gotcha.
I like just give me the 16 games, or not 16 because they have Thursdays and Mondays, but give me 14 games on a Sunday and let it start at 9 a.m. because there's a London game, and let it go till 11. That's more my speed, but that's fine. We're going to do all 4 games, obviously. We'll start with Saturday games. Commanders and Lions will be the first one up here for us Saturday night. Here is the matchup, Pat. Washington has the longest winning streak right now among playoff teams, and the Lions are the weekend's biggest favorite. So even though Washington's hot, the odds makers think this game has the best chance of the 4 games to be a blowout. Does that make sense to you?
It doesn't make sense to me. Just what the Washington Commanders were able to prove on the road last week against a very, I won't say a very talented defense, but a highly respected defense in Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Todd Bowles. And what Jayden Daniels was able to do in that ball game was just remarkable for a rookie. And, I don't see him, missing a beat going into this game, because what people don't know is when you win one playoff game, your confidence is not going to dwindle. It's only going to grow. You know what I mean? He's a guy that always seemed to not be fazed by the moment. He always relished those moments. And you can just tell that, when the pressure's on, he'll rise to it, and that's what you want to see from a quarterback. So it is kind of strange to see, Washington being the hottest team in the NFL right now, especially in the latter part of the season, and giving the Detroit Lions having the biggest spread out of the 4 games. So I thought that was a little strange, but I tell you what, Vegas be knowing something. They know something. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do end up covering, but I won't be surprised, because I feel like it's going to be a competitive game. In my opinion, we know what Detroit is missing on the defensive side of the ball. We know they like to play a lot of man-to-man, and we know in the last month of the season that Aaron Glenn got a little blitz happy, and that's kind of one of the last things that you want to do is blitz a dual threat quarterback and not get home. So he's going to be playing with fire. I know that he's a young quarterback, but he do not perform like a young quarterback, because most defensive coordinators, when they get young quarterbacks, it's like, man, we want to confuse them. We want to blitz them. We want to send exotic blitzes. Want to, show them something and get back in some coverages. I don't think Jayden is, fazed by any of those things. So Aaron Glenn is definitely going to have to put together a well put together game plan in order to try to rattle this young rookie.
I think that the line's ridiculous, and you're right. They're correct in Vegas more than they're wrong. And usually when I have a great feeling about a game, I end up looking like a complete moron. So take everything I just said, or I'm about to say, with a grain of salt here. But we've seen Detroit defensively against, say, Josh Allen earlier this year, when he went into Detroit, and you have the quarterback profile of a guy that is a runner and a passer. Obviously, with Allen, better as more advanced as a passer than a runner.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say with Daniels is probably closer to even. But Detroit couldn't stop Buffalo in that game. They gave up almost 50 points. And it's not like Buffalo, you just, you take this guy away and you're good. Even with Terry McLaurin, you take him away. We've seen Daniels have big games where McLaurin had 2 catches for under 20 yards. So I think that he is in a position where we're going to come out of this game Saturday night, and even if they lose, we're going to be impressed by how the guy plays. We've done 20 reaction shows this year, 21 reaction shows, Pat. I don't think many times we came on here and said, Jayden Daniels looked like a rookie today.
No,
so
we haven't.
You've made the point that things get ratcheted up. The intensity goes up a lot, goes up a notch. The pressure enhances a lot. But I kind of feel like he's made for this. And I think that the key to the game for Detroit is the Commanders are so bad against the run. Is Detroit able to keep him off the field by just taking, chipping away at Washington's defense? And is it going to get complicated for them now that David Montgomery is ready to play because Jahmyr Gibbs has done so well the last few weeks?
Yeah.
And I'm going to answer that. I think it will. I think that's a tricky spot. Usually more good players is a good thing, but sometimes that turns into good problems. And I would just want to give Jahmyr Gibbs as many touches as possible, Pat, but I don't know. Are they going to try to incorporate Montgomery back in because he was such a big contributor for them throughout the year? And then that creates a dilemma where they're offensively trying to figure out how to strike a balance between the two guys, because Gibbs isn't rusty. I mean, Gibbs is running better probably than any back not named Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley in the NFL right now. And Montgomery's coming off a lower body injury. So I'm curious to see how they handle that.
Yeah, I think they'll ease him in. I don't think he'll get nearly as the game load as he did prior to his injury. So I can see him probably at the most 12 touches. I can see him getting 8 to 12 touches, anywhere between there. Working back.
I like him. I like him as like a fourth quarterback if you got a lead. And, you've had the ball for 35 minutes and you're just having him just pound away on them at the end of the game. But if they try to get him in early, like the thing that happened in the Buffalo game that they lost was that the Bills, even though the run defense is not good, stopped the run the first couple of possessions. Detroit got down 14-0, and then they threw the ball the rest of the game.
Right.
If that happens to them again in this game, they're going to lose.
It's possible that it can happen, especially – it's going to be interesting to see what what the Commanders do with the coin toss if they win it. Because if they win it, if I'm Dan Quinn, I'm taking the ball because I don't want to put their best unit on the football field first and give them the opportunity, to strike a match first. So as hot as my offense has been, as good as my young rookie quarterback has been, I want to apply pressure out of the gate. Not saying that it can work and it cannot work, but at the same time, I want to be the one applying pressure, and especially when we already coming into this game, the underdog. So basically, I know I'm not guys in the locker room don't pay attention to the lines and stuff like that, but I know coaches do some. No, I don't know. Okay. I know coaches do sometimes, maybe, but for the most part, we're already the underdog. Nobody's giving us a chance. So I want to be able to go out there and take the momentum out of the gate because we're already on the road. We don't have any momentum. Nobody's giving us a chance. So let's go out here and strike a match first, and let's see what happens after that. Because what tends to happen to teams that, except unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs or Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, teams that tend to have that bye week, that first week off, they tend to start off slow. So if the Washington Commanders get the ball first and march the ball down the field and score, get a 3-and-out and score again, that's an enormous amount of pressure on the Detroit Lions. I know they've been there before. They feel like they can handle it, and it's going to be a lot of football left. But what I've seen from the Washington Commanders on a consistent basis, hell, they had a number of games with a punter on and punted the ball one time.
They
So
didn't
we
punt it at all
know,
last
right? So we know what they can do on the offensive side of the ball. So you get that type of ammunition to already explosive team, and you giving them 14 points. I feel like it's going to be tough, but we have to wait and see what happens.
I'm not picking against Detroit, but I give Washington a way better chance. I like that Kingsbury declined interviews, so he's solely focused on this game, and he's not trying to, multitask and do two
Right.
things at once. And I actually think that's a pretty big deal. I mean, there's only so many hours in a day, Pat. If you're, spending time trying to get ready to ace an interview while trying to get ready for a playoff game, you're taking time away from one of those two things.
Right.
And I think it's tough for coaches that are conflicted like that this time of year. He made a decision that he wanted to put all his eggs in this basket. If he misses out on head coaching opportunities because of it, he's probably thinking, so what? I'll get a chance next year. I've got Jayden Daniels now. He ain't going anywhere. This guy's not getting any worse. I'll be even more coveted next year if that's what happens. So I think that's smart. I'm picking Detroit, but I think it's going to be probably a one-score game late in the fourth quarter, and Daniels has been an incredible fourth-quarter quarterback this year.
Yeah,
all
I'm
right,
taking
Pat,
Detroit too.
Texans and Chiefs. Houston takes a Super Bowl caliber defense into Kansas City. That's what J.J. Watt called the Texans defense, Super Bowl caliber this week. Mm-hmm. Is that enough to slow down the Chiefs' pursuit of a three-peat?
It has the opportunity to, because it has the chance to, just because of what Houston has. They have pass rushers. They have guys who can stop the run. They have guys who can stop their pass catchers. Where I believe where the juggernaut is going to come into play here is, can Travis Kelce take advantages of his matchups? Because I feel like, I know Hollywood Brown he's back in the lineup. I know we all know what DeAndre Hopkins can do, but I feel like the Houston Texans have two good corners in DJ Lassiter.
Yep.
Yeah, Lassiter. I mean, the rookie. I mean, those guys have been playing some really good ball as of late. So they have what it will take. But can they offense sustain enough drives to keep Patrick on the sideline and Andy Reid not calling offensive plays? Can the offense, that's what it's going to come down to. Like, the defense, they have what it takes to go in there and slow down Patrick Mahomes. But will the offense have what it takes? And I think that's going to be the big question mark. And we also saw what Houston Texans did when they had the lead the last time they played the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. I believe it was 31-7, if I'm not mistaken. And Kansas City Chiefs came all the way back to win that game. So I feel like, and I know the teams are different right now, but I just feel like, man, it's just so hard to beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead and during this time of the year. Patrick's now is healthy. The team, I feel like they really started to catch their stride towards the back half of the season, which is the time when you want to catch it. So they definitely have the names, but I don't think they're going to be able to do enough, or their offense is not going to be able to keep them off the field long enough to be able to help them, get the stops and be able to play up to that Super Bowl caliber defense, as J.J. Watt called them.
So it was 27-19 when they played the week before Christmas. That was the Saturday game in Kansas City where Tank Dell caught a touchdown pass and basically his knee got destroyed on the same play, and Stroud cried because they were so close, and it was a really emotional scene there. And they only scored 19 in that game. Joe Mixon played. Joe Mixon's really banged up for this game. At the time of this conversation, Joe Mixon missed practice on Thursday. So he'll probably get some kind of shot in his foot and play, but it doesn't look like he's going to be anywhere close to 100% for this game. And hey, Stroud made some big throws. Stroud also made some dumbass throws in that game against the Chargers. And if he does that Jekyll and Hyde routine in this game, they're not going to score more than 17 points. Pat, listen to this list of teams Houston has beaten on the road this year. The Colts, the Patriots, the Cowboys, the Jaguars, and the Titans.
So nobody won over 4 games.
That's the list. Dallas is the best team they beat away from home.
Wow.
The Cowboys, after Dak Prescott was out, when Cooper Rush started, they beat the 3 AFC South teams on the road. They beat the Patriots, and they beat Dallas. Those are their 5 road wins. Dude, I think they got no shot in this game. I think Kansas City, the same old shit with them, where they got a horse, they got a horseshoe up their ass and a 4-leaf clover in their pocket. They always luck out. Like, I think LA, because they play in the same division, they played close games against them. Now Herbert played like garbage, but like, I thought the Chargers could have gone there and at least made it interesting. I think
I did too.
Matchup for them. This is a perfect matchup for Kansas City, for crying out loud. And I just hate it, man. I do. I've gotten sick of them. I'm sick of it. I don't want to.
I hear it all over your voice. I hear it all over your voice, man.
You want to see it again? You're not sick of it? I'm getting sick of it.
I mean, you get sick of watching the Houston?
I'm just getting sick of watching Kansas City every friggin' year play for the Super Bowl and every AFC championship game.
I mean, no, I'm not. I mean, I like to see greatness. I do. So
man. You root for LeBron, you root for Tiger, you root for.
Yeah, I'm a Kobe guy. I do root for LeBron, but I'm a Kobe guy though. I do root for LeBron, but Kobe is my favorite player of all time.
I played AAU basketball with a guy who used to wear a Kobe sneaker on one foot while he played and a Jordan on the other. And he thought it was like the coolest thing. And I'm like, dude, you're probably effing up your feet so bad doing that.
Yeah, that's not cool or good looking.
So you agree with me though? You think that this is not going to be a very close game? You're all over Kansas City too?
No, I don't think it's going to be a close game. Kansas City is now well rested.
Houston's offensive line for Houston's going to get destroyed, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Me too. Chris Jones is about to have a day, in my opinion. But we got to wait and see. But yeah, Kansas City Chiefs are healthier than they was 2 weeks ago. So like I said, this is the one team that you do not want to allow to get healthier, for the stress, because not only that they have been there, they know what it takes, and they understand how to take advantage of their breaks. Andy Reid is a guy who's been in, before he started winning Super Bowls and what 4 straight NFC championships with the Eagles. And then when he ended up making a transition over to the Chiefs, they've been playing in AFC championships ever since. Seemed like. So this is a guy that understands how to get his team prepared. And this is a guy that understands how to make sure his team is laser focused, regardless on how much time they have off or how much time they have to prepare for the next opponent. So it's always a beautiful thing to see the Kansas City Chiefs take the field, because one thing it's going to be a show. They're going to be well coached, and Patrick Mahomes going to play his ass off.
I will predict, though, that Kansas City starts somewhat slow offensively. I think they're going to score either no points or maybe just a field goal in the first quarter. And then I think much like the Texans-Ravens game last year when Baltimore was coming off a bye and then just blew them out in the second half, I think once they get their sea legs under them, because you've touched on it, it's not just 3 weeks off. They haven't played since Christmas.
Yeah,
I mean, that's insane to me. It's been that long, really, since we saw the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be Martin Luther King Day on Monday.
Yeah. And which they deserve it, though. They played like 3 games in 10 days. 3 games in 10 days at one point.
Days, but
yeah,
you don't want that much football in a condensed time. I don't think you want this much time off either.
Nah, it's like especially going into the playoffs too, though.
It's like college football with a damn bowl game. It's
right,
like the bowl that you get.
Hey, but if it's one team that I trust, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah.
And if there's one team I don't trust, it's the Texans. So it's a perfect storm. All right. Ravens and Bills, the best game of the weekend. I'm going to be in Buffalo Sunday night for this. Who you got and why, Pat?
Man, you already know who I'm taking, man. Action Jackson. Man, I really feel like this could be the year for Lamar, man. Just going back and watching that game last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can tell that it looked like the monkey is slowly coming off his back because he still haven't beaten the Grim Reaper yet, which is Patrick Mahomes. Did he beat Lamar last year in the playoffs?
Yeah.
I mean, Josh?
No.
That's what I thought.
The Chiefs beat the Bills and the Ravens beat the Texans, like I just brought up.
That's what I thought. So, like for me, it just seemed like Lamar has like really started to lift the playoff monkey off of his back. Because like last week, he played with that same intensity that he played with against Houston, against the last game against the Steelers in the regular season. How he played against the Bengals. Just the swagger that he was playing with that carried over into the playoff, and that was something that we did not see in the years prior. So you can tell that he's hungrier. You could tell that getting to New Orleans is the only thing that's on his mind right now. You know, he just looks crispier in the pocket when he's back there passing the ball. It just looked so much more. He just has so much more fluidity, you know, in the pocket, no matter what the moment is. Going back to 7 seconds left in the first half with no timeouts left. What other quarterback is doing something like that? Nobody. Lamar Jackson. And you could just tell when he made that play and the way that he played and throughout that entire game, you could just tell he got one thing on his mind, and that man is on a mission to get to New Orleans. So I got the Ravens winning this game. It's going to be a hell of a game. Like this is going to be one of those games for the ages. Like it's teed up perfect for America to witness one of the two of the best dual threat quarterbacks, that can throw the ball, that can run the ball, that both of them talk shit, both of them get their teams into it. So this is going to be like a heavyweight boxing match, man, and I can't wait to see it.
I got to shout out my guy Ticket Nick, who came through for me for this game. He's, in my opinion, the best ticket broker in the entire country. And so I am in the M&T club there, which is indoors when the wind chill numbers are going to be like -5.
Ooh.
And it's food unlimited and booze unlimited.
Wow.
Hey now. That's going to make fireworks galore on the First and Pod episode.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you have your seatbelts on.
Pat, I've been to playoff games before. I've been lucky enough to go out and cover Super Bowls. I've not seen a lot of Steelers playoff games lately. The one time I was supposed to cover them in the Super Bowl, quick story, was when they were set to play Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in 2010, 2011. Yeah. And there was an ice storm in Dallas.
Yeah, I was there. I remember that.
I could not get there. My radio station said, we're going to send you. Oh, this is great. We're going to send you there Saturday before the game on Sunday to save money. And I never got there because of So it's a good thing the Steelers lost, but this is my preamble for this is about as excited as I've been to see a game in person, football game in a very, 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 very long time. Because of what
you great said. Atmosphere too.
It is. It's like a college game. I tell people that all the time. The two great college atmospheres in the NFL are Buffalo and Green Bay. Those are my two.
What?
You disagree?
I like Green Bay. I was going to say definitely Buffalo and Seattle.
Okay. Oh, so that's a good. So here's what I mean by that. I feel like in both of those places, the average diehard fan still has the seats that are really close to the field.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah.
So
Old
the whole Seattle stadium's loud, but I feel like those places still that old school vibe where the guy that's sitting in the third row doesn't run a Fortune 500 company or some bullshit like
Right.
that. Like, he's just had family for 30 years or whatever it is, 40, 50 years. So
Right.
I think, I mean, the easy answer here for me is Baltimore, because not any of this, mystical stuff or intangible stuff of like who feels more pressure, who's got more of a monkey on their back, Lamar or Josh Allen. One dude has one of the 10 greatest running backs in NFL history next to him. And I frankly wasn't sure if that was, I wasn't sure that was going to benefit him. In fact, I did not think early in the season, before the season started, that it was going to work out this way, where Derrick Henry was going to pick up where he left off in Tennessee 2 or 3 years ago and go back to looking like one of the elite runners in the NFL. But he's run out of the shotgun. He's done a good job at that. I didn't think he would. And the dude looks like he's a monster again. He had 199 rushing yards against Buffalo earlier this year. We've said it, Buffalo does not have a big front. There's not a Vince Wilfork. There's not a Ted Washington. There's nobody in there that is going to be a guy that, eats blocks.
Hold a fort.
Exactly. Ed Oliver's not that kind of guy. It's just a bad, styles make fights to your boxing analogy. It's just a super bad matchup for the Bills defense. They need Henry to get out of bed that day and just like have a bum hamstring or like just not feel right. They need something like that to happen, I think, in order to slow him down in this game.
Yeah,
because
I agree with you.
Even if they try to, I think, all right, we're going to just play a numbers game here and try to clog up the middle. That RPO game, friggin' Jackson will just take it outside and you're screwed.
Yep.
I mean, he ran the ball early in the game against the Steelers in terms of keeping the ball and calling his own number more than I've ever seen him do it against them.
Me too.
Me too. If he's got to run it 15 times to win a playoff game, he's going to do that. If that's what the defense is telling him to do, if that's how he's reading it. So,
or his mom.
Or his mom. His mom said before the playoffs, run more.
Right.
Tighter pants because they almost fell down in that Giants game when he ran it earlier this year. But I think people in our business overreacted to the Zay Flowers thing. I'm not sure Zay's going to play. In fact, I don't think he will. Pat, I don't think it's going to make a difference. I just don't.
No, me either.
I don't think it's going to
make a difference.
Play almost a perfect game here offensively, I'm saying, to win. And they're going to need Lamar maybe or somebody on their team to just give it away one time, either with a fumble or with an interception that goes off a guy's hand or a deflection or something like that to steal an extra possession and win the game. And I'm not going to pick a team to win based on hoping that something fluky or lucky happens for them.
Yeah. No, it's going to be a good game, man. I tell you what, Buffalo linebackers.
By the way, I'm not convinced of that. I'm worried that I'm going to go to a game and Baltimore's going to beat them by like 2 touchdowns. I am worried about that.
It's possible, but it's going to. I tell you what, Buffalo linebackers, inside linebackers and outside linebackers are going to have their work cut out for them, because outside linebackers are going to have to deal with the read option and Lamar Jackson on the edge, and then the inside linebackers are going to have to deal with Mark Andrews, likely, and Derrick Henry. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's where they're going to really try to exploit their matchups, is inside, in the interior of the defense by running the football and also attacking those linebackers in the passing game.
And Milano's back, and he looked better. I think he's looked better in their last couple of games. I didn't think he looked really that good when he first came back from his injury. Last year when they got beat by the Chiefs in the playoffs, remember, like their entire inside linebacker crew was devastated by injury, and that just got exploded to death by Travis Kelce and those guys. But Myles Garrett told ESPN this before week 18. Louis Riddick relayed this story. Myles Garrett said, and at this point, he doesn't give a shit. His team stinks. He's just going to be honest with these production.
Right.
He said, look, I've watched the Ravens on tape multiple times this year. We've prepared to play them twice. If they play their A game, they beat everybody. They need to be off their game to lose. And the only caveat, the only rebuttal I have to that is, well, Mahomes kind of does some superhero stuff and finds ways to win games even when the other team is better 1 through 53. But I get the point, Pat. Like when the Ravens tweaked their defense midseason, changed the scheme up, moved Hamilton back, changed their safeties around a little bit, it just it clicked for them.
Yeah.
And they've got now a top 2, top 3 offense, and they've got a top 5 defense. So,
yeah.
But I'll be there, and like the rest of the world, I'm hoping that this is the best game of the weekend. But I am taking Baltimore, and I do think it could get ugly. Rams and Eagles. LA is a trendy pick.
Yeah.
And no one's giving you credit. I think everybody that goes on national TV, Dan Orlovsky, Nick Wright, should say, hey, Patrick Peterson was the first guy to say the Rams shouldn't sell at the trade deadline because they're going to rally, make the playoffs, win the division, and win a playoff game. They've already lost to Philly once.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this youngest defense in the NFL that's played lights out, and Matthew Stafford, who's the last Super Bowl winning quarterback standing in the NFC, are you buying the Rams as the upset special of the week?
This is my upset alert for the week. The Rams versus Philly. Just because I just love what Sean McVay brings to the table. His team
Have
is
you
always
been a Sean McVay lover going back to having played against him? Were you always the guy that admired him?
I did, man. Just because how savvy he was with his play calling, man. Everything looked the same, but he had little wrinkles on it to where, like when he first got to the Rams, he used to do this thing all the time with the jet motion. And they used to have run this zone, like the split zone with Todd Gurley. But then they made it look the same. Then they started running the screen off it. Then they did the same motion, fake the screen, and then you had a receiver coming backside running a route or something like that. So it was just so many. I was just always in awe in how
it like punishes you from doing your homework. You think you're going to get one question.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say. Like it always was at awe when we played against him because it always seemed like he knew what the hell we was playing. Every single game. And I don't think I beat Sean McVay. To be honest with you. I think I'm 0-10 against Sean McVay, bro, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to think. Yeah, pull that up.
Well, I mean, you might have had Josh Rosen and Drew Stanton in some of those games, but that's
I had Josh Rosen. Drew Stanton probably was playing in a couple of those games.
You throw maybe Ryan Lindley in there?
Who?
I said you maybe throw Ryan Lindley in there.
No, Ryan Lindley. Ryan Lindley was 2014.
Okay.
I remember Ryan Lindley, man.
How about a Sam Bradford?
Sam Bradford was not on maybe he was. That was around the time of what Sean got there, in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 17.
No, he was there. He was there in 17 because in 8. No, wait, no, you're right. No, you're right. 17, he got there. They lost in the playoffs to Atlanta.
And next year they went to the Super
Bowl. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I never beat Sean McVay, man. Sad to say. But no, man, I really feel like this could be the upset of the week. I love what Sean McVay brings to the table as far as his coaching style, as far as having his team prepare. And again, this team beat him early on in the season. They didn't only beat them; they kind of ran the scoreboard, but beat them down. Saquon had a gazillion yards.
He had 255 yards.
I know.
70 yards in that game. It was
exactly.
Unreal.
And wasn't that the game too that Jalen Hurts came out and threw the game after that they was questioning AJ Brown about when they the game before, I forget who they played, and they asked him what's the big question mark about the offense. He was saying passing.
So that was a couple of weeks after. That was when they beat the Panthers at home.
Okay, so, I got you. Yeah. But I just don't see that happening twice. I know they're going to be outside in the elements on the road, but I really feel like the way this defense have been playing as of late, they're not going to allow that to happen again. And I really think they're going to try to put this game into Jalen Hurts' hands to force him to beat him with his arm. And if this young defensive line can play, as feisty as they did last week, I think it's going to be hard for the Philadelphia Eagles to pass the ball against this team. My only concern is how Coach McVay is going to adjust against this quarter system. I talked about this last week, how difficult it always seemed for him to have some type of success against a quarter system. But he had the opportunity to go play against it a couple of times this season. Now this time it's all or nothing. It almost reminds me of the NFC Championship game when they played who was that? The 49ers. You remember the 49ers could never beat the Rams, and they finally got over the hump. And I think this kind of setting up for that moment right now for the Rams, going on the road, the underdog, playing against quote unquote the best team, top to bottom, on offensive line, defensive line, defense, receivers, so forth. I think they have an opportunity to go out there and really showcase what they're capable of, and also Sean McVay have an opportunity to showcase what type of coach he is. And no matter who he has in his lineup, man, he's going to come have his guys ready, prepared, and ready to fight.
So I saw the game this year. I'm only bringing the Steelers up because it was the one time this year where Barkley really had a pedestrian game. His numbers were, he averaged under 4 yards a carry. It was like 3-something. But it didn't work because it left the Steelers corners one-on-one with Brown and Smith. And Hurts just played within 15 yards, just played pitch and catch with them. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the pick your poison here. Like, if I had to choose one, I would rather the ball in Jalen Hurts' hands than Saquon Barkley's as a defense. But if you strategize to do that, if you're Chris Shula and you do that, do you trust Ahkello Witherspoon and Darius Williams on Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, Pat? I don't.
No, me either. Hey, but like you said, you got to pick your poison. Like, if I'd rather see the ball in Jalen Hurts' hands, I got to play some type of coverages or give them some type of inside, leverages or coverages that's going to give them the advantages from a leverage standpoint to be able to put them in a better position, because they're not going to be able to slow those guys down one-on-one on a consistent basis, down in and down out. That's damn near impossible. So
and like we talked about before with the Rams going into the Minnesota game, Minnesota ended up doing the same. They made the same thing, beat them twice. They basically tried to play the same way against Detroit, played against the Rams. It backfired. They stayed true to who they were. I don't think McVay is so narcissistic as a coach that he's going to say, yeah, we played him kind of straight up and gave up 255 the first time. Mm-hmm. This time we'll just do the same thing better. No, I think he is going to just sell out to stop Saquon in this game.
100%.
And I could see Sirianni saying, all right, fine. I trust Jalen Hurts enough where I trust our receivers enough. He can get the ball to these guys that it's going to force you to make a decision from then on out. And I like Philly. You've led me to water as the horse with the Rams, and I'm not going to drink it. I'm going back because their roster is so good. And the thing is,
I know it is. It really is.
As good as Stafford was in the Bills game and as good as he was last week, there's games in the middle there where they did nothing offensively. And I'm just afraid when he gets out there in like 25-degree weather, if it's even that warm, that he's going to not turtle. And, I'm not saying that. I mean, the guy's an all-time great competitor. Yeah, but I'm not convinced that he's against that number one defense is going to have a killer game. They've got the corners to match up with the Rams receivers, don't they?
They do. But the thing, I'll tell you this, the Rams, the Philadelphia Eagles not going to have no chance, have no time to take no pictures, because them receivers going to be moving. I tell you that right now. They ain't going to have no opportunity to just be up there lining up, think they just about to press Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp. Turbo. Somebody's coming in motion. Trust me. Somebody come in motion, and Cooper Kupp going to be in a stack to where nobody can touch him, to where he can manipulate and start running his option routes. Then if you start sitting on the option routes, your safeties better not have their eyes anywhere in the backfield, because we already know Matthew Stafford can do with the ball. He's probably one of the best manipulators with the football in the game, throwing the ball, looking at the visitor sideline, but throwing it back to his sideline. He's just, him and Patrick Mahomes are the only guys that.
He's the only the other two I thought of like that.
Those are the only two guys that's able to pull some crap off like that. So those safeties, if they, at the same time too, because Williams is not having. I know that the Eagles have a solid defensive front, and I know they can cause problems in the run game. But at the same time, Williams is no slouch in the run game or the pass game either. So if they and I know they got Zach Bonds, right? The linebacker.
Zach Bond.
I mean Zach Bond. I like him, by the way. I think his stock is rising
by the Eagles. The guy was an outside.
Yes. Hey, I tell you what, his stock has went through the roof this season. He's put together a very fine season this year. But Williams is a back that can catch the ball out of the backfield, and a back that can create some mismatches as well. So the Philadelphia Eagles defense have some poise to be picking as well. You know what I mean? I know Cooper Kupp hasn't been really involved in the offense, but we all know what he's capable of. He's not injured to our knowledge. We all know Puka Nacua is pretty much the spark plug of his offense. He's kind of like that Deebo Samuels type guy. He's that, he's going to get those tough yardage, run out the catch, make those tough blocks, for the running back. So the Philadelphia Eagles going to have to be on top of their game as well, because I can guarantee you this, man. Sean McVay is going to pull out something to where he feels that's going to that can hurt the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's going to exploit it. And if they don't have an opportunity to fix it or make a game time adjustment, it's going to be a long day.
That is my favorite chess match of the weekend, is McVay versus Fangio, among all the matches that we have. Also, I think that one of the quarterbacks there might have been Blaine Gabbert in that period. Shout out to Blaine.
I did have Blaine Gabbert. I did. Man, I played with so many quarterbacks, man. I forgot half of them, man. John Skelton, Carson Palmer,
Skelton.
Kevin Cobb. What's my man? Brian Hoyer.
Man, I forgot Brian Hoyer was even a friggin' Cardinal. Holy crap.
Brad Huntley. Bradley Huntley. From UCLA.
Yep. You played for the Packers.
Yeah, man. Sam Bradford. Bro, I played with some quarterbacks, man.
Carson Palmer's got to be the best one, right?
Oh, by far the best. That's my favorite teammate of all time, man.
Really?
CP3 is the best, bro. Like the best. Far as one of the guys, CP was one of the guys. Staying in the locker room, kicking it with us, having lunch with the boys, then go to get his stuff done in the quarterback's room. Man, he was just a stand-up guy, bro. I haven't played with Kirk Cousins was too, but Carson was just one of those guys that he hung with us. Most quarterbacks kind of separate themselves and be in their own world.
And he was a little bit older too. I mean, he had played in Cincinnati. He spent the year with the Raiders before he got there.
Yeah, he was, man. He brought a lot of life to our team, and he really did. When we had the opportunity to play with him, and I just wish his ass was able to stay healthy, because when he was a starter, when he was the starting quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals, I want to say his win percentage was 78%. The dude was balling. I think
one of those years you guys had to start Lindley in a playoff game, didn't you? Didn't he get hurt and Stanton got hurt?
Man. So that was our first run against the quick story. I was standing right by Coach Aarons when this happened. It was right before halftime. I just got it. I think we had just drove the ball. I think Marshawn Mendenhall had just got a nice run and got us down by the 7-yard line or something like that. So BA calls timeout. Everybody comes over. He's talking. He was like, man, Ryan, he's giving him the play. Da, 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 da. He's like, man, if the ball is not there, throw it away.
And this isn't the playoff game you're talking about, right?
Yes, the playoff game.
Okay.
He said, if it's not there, throw it. I'm sorry, it was David Johnson, not Rashard Mendenhall. It was David Johnson. He's like, the ball's not there. Throw it away. Man, I be damn. Luke Kuechly. He done play action, did some crazy crap back there. Luke Kuechly done read this man's eyes the whole way. Pick. And I want to say he scored too, if I'm not mistaken. It was something bad, bro. I was like, you got to be freaking.
And what did Arians do?
Oh, he lost it. He threw his headphones. Man, you know BA.
Kangle hat goes flying off.
That also was another player-ass move for BA to have his Kango hat on the sideline. I thought that was so gangster.
You know what's so funny about that, Pat, is that I remember him in Pittsburgh, and he used to wear like the dorkiest turtlenecks and like glasses that he got from like, not even prescription eyeglasses. Like you just get them off the rack at like a Rite Aid or something.
Right.
And just like a regular, like I never thought that he was gonna, 5 years from that point or 10 years, turn out to be one of the swaggiest coaches. Like he just completely leaned into his personality.
He did.
I love that about him.
He did. Yeah, so it wasn't a pick six, and I do remember that Trey Boston interception as well. Thank you, Spence.
Yes, thanks for bringing up horrible memories, Spence. That was a 7-9 Panthers team, by the way.
That was.
That gets back to what we said. No reason for a 7-9 team to be hosting a playoff.
Right, exactly.
Hey, thanks for listening to First and Pod. We'll react to the Saturday games here on this feed. Check it out. Download it. Subscribe, rate, review. He's the great Patrick Peterson. I'm Andrew Fillipponi. For Spencer Ray, this is First and Pod.